told you that's how it starts, man. And that's how you go live. Right there. Just all right, so we're live. I got some cool guests in here today. I'm gonna say a last name right for a fucking change because I am terrible at it. So Chris Gritz.
That's correct.
Yes. I had to do research, bro, because I kept looking at it like I can't say that right.
I think that's why, like, kind of how you got the name Gritz, right? Because it was just easier to say.
Yeah.
That's so. Chris, you're a UFC fighter. When I googled you, it legitimately like pops up like UFC fighter record. That's pretty. That's a good start. Like, oh, hey, did you meet this guy?
If someone's got a Wikipedia page, like, obviously they're doing pretty well.
Yep.
So yeah.
Thank you for coming out to the show, man. I really appreciate it. So, I wanted to have you on here today just because we're all so obsessed with fucking fights, man. We all love watching the fights.
It's I think everyone is, man. I don't, like, soccer moms are into fighting. Like, everybody's like, it doesn't what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't segregate. It doesn't there's no prejudice there. It kind of gets into everybody gets into somebody's bloodstream, man, from everywhere, So
It's crazy though, like there's so much adrenaline. I mean, I've sat ringside a few times, and when you can feel it, like when you feel somebody hit somebody that hard, I can't imagine what it's like being in the ring. Especially you, man, because you got like an iron jaw from what I've been watching. Like that Lozon, did I say his name right? Joe Lozon. Dude, that fight, in the first like minute, you take like 4 shots directly to the chin and an elbow, and you do not move. Like I've watched it a couple times. You didn't move because the elbow shot was so loud, and then you just pressed him from then on out. And I mean, dude, your jaw, I don't know what, is it the calcium in our water out here? I don't know what you're doing to take shots.
He wasn't even out here when he was training for that fight.
You know what? Okay, so I've had some people say that to me, and the truth of it is that, like, I got touched, but I didn't necessarily get hit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they say, "Oh, I slipped weaved." Well, sometimes when you slip a punch, you got grazed, and so I don't know if the statistics, the numbers, they go, "Oh, okay." That's a hit. That counts as a like a point on hindsight, or I don't know how they do that, the metrics or whatever. But like there's this knee he hits me with, and he touched me for reals. But like I was watching him, like he grabbed me. I see him loaded this knee up, and I kind of was so I moved with it. It touched me, but it didn't necessarily like
water.
It didn't crack me. It didn't land. It didn't pop. It didn't snap. It didn't have anything on it. It was almost like he pushed me in the face. But I did get knee in the face, but I got like kind of his upper quad in the Dobby fight. That hurt. That one rung my bell. That one, I had to sit there for a second and go, that sucked. I don't want that to happen again.
When you were in that Lozon fight, when you took him, after he hit you with the elbow, you brought him right to the ground. You took him right to the ground and you were on top of him. But like my favorite part of it really wasn't that. It was the like 5 body shots you gave him right before he got back up. Like he had to get back up. You were driving like your full weight into his sternum, and you were landing him like full pressure. It was like 4 or 5 directly to the body, which you don't see a lot of people take those body shots.
I don't think that whole fight. I know what part you're talking about, but I think the whole fight you don't see a whole lot of fights like that. That was a cool fight.
Yeah,
I think, and especially like for me and a lot of our friends that we grew up with, Chris and stuff, watching that fight, a lot of us, know Joe Lozon. He's a veteran, like he's been around a long time. And for me, I was torn too. I was like, oh, I'm always going for Joe Lozon.
From where I'm from,
like, but if
he's a pretty big
he's
deal.
Fighting Gritz, like I gotta go with my boy.
No brainer.
So, and you looked especially good and different in that fight than I think you had in a while. And I think last time we hung out, I was asking you about it too. I'm like, there's not a whole lot of fighters that had female striking coaches. Like I think like Yoel Romero's come out. Or like not come out about it, but like he's known to have a female striking coach. At the time, you were working with a female striking coach, which I think was a new coach for you, right?
We had worked in the past, so we had a relationship before that.
Yeah, she looks like she don't play.
She's first. She has some knowledge on her.
I had to like pay attention the first time I saw that video you hitting the pad with her. And I was like, dude, what does she weigh? Like 130?
No, I didn't know.
She's
even
tight,
that.
but dude, she
10
is
pounds.
like she's like diving into it. Like she ain't budging. That was pretty solid.
No, she's
But
good.
I think your striking looked like especially crisp in that fight,
Mm-hmm.
and especially just like knowing that you were a wrestler growing up and stuff in high school. I think a lot of people just expect, oh, this cat can wrestle. We know he's gonna wrestle. We know his game, and that's kind of a different route than you took going into your UFC career.
Actually, as far as my UFC, I don't have any takedown attempts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Your UFC career is a whole lot different.
They have it on my my stats. I have 0 takedown attempts. 0.
Yeah, but you do you clinch a lot. I love your clinch game though. I think
What
that's
is
my
it
favorite.
about that though? Is it risk of submission? Is it risk of? I mean, because a lot of those guys will let you take them down. You know, some of them would rather be on their back. That's how they train a lot of times, especially with you. Your jaw, dude, I'm telling you right now, watching those shots that you take and you don't move. A lot of people will take that shot and they step back or they move, like you press forward, which confuses, I think, a lot of people because they expect you to do something so that they can counter that, and you press forward and take the shot and don't flinch. Like, I don't know, man. That's a big thing. I think it looks like it doesn't even, you don't have to take them down a lot of times. Your striking is.
I like to work easy, man. I don't like to work harder. You know.
Mhm.
I haven't left a fight with my head concussed. I don't have any concussions. I don't have any major like swelling that I ever have to deal with. You know, sometimes you bump or bruise, but like
Except those lips
never-
always look swollen.
I'm never you know I'm never.
Dude, they
really
got
beat
kids
up.
putting cups on their face to try to get them lips, man.
They do.
He's winning.
They do.
He's winning.
That's true.
I watched one of them videos where they put the lipstick on the boyfriend the other day. That like, I don't know what it does, but like
Like the
that dude-
plumper shit.
Dude, that guy's lips look like they were about to explode. This guy, he didn't even have to do that, so he's lucky. But that's, man. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, first of all, again, we kind of talked a little bit about it before we started, was Joe Rogan. How's that to be able to go back and watch your fight and hear Joe Rogan calling your fight?
It was good. It was actually kind of cool because, like, not just from the UFC standpoint, but even like past commentating that was done for fights that I had that wasn't in the UFC. I always felt like I was like, man, everyone always run against me. Like, am I always the underdog? Like, they're always kind of
That's true.
like is the home like the commentating is usually for the hometown guy, kind of or the favorite. And but that was like one of those fights, man. It was kind of neutral, and then as the fight went down, it was
Then
like,
he shifted over to
it
your
was a
side.
little-
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's I don't know how.
He's good at it. But I just, when you hear that voice, it's like that.
I just like it as a resume, because it was like that. I was like this after we're during that fight, man. Like we're going into it, like I was like, man, I'm in this fight, like I could get interviewed by Joe Rogan. Like that was kind of one of those like I had done this, you know what I mean? Like I traveled across the ocean and I went here, kind of thing, like it was kind of a moment like that, I was like, oh dang, man, I'm getting interviewed by Joe Rogan.
And,
Dude,
didn't you get fight of the night that night too?
I got a performance.
Or performance of the night? Yeah, that's enough on a resume itself right there. And then when you listen, like during that fight, you hear Joe Rogan like, oh, like the shots he's putting them away right now. Like Lozon can't handle these shots. Gritz is like throwing all these shots. And I mean, I thought it was one of the coolest fucking things I had seen, especially for your career.
But you have two moments, because you have another moment that people know who you are without knowing who you are. Because that little moment on the Ultimate Fighter, when Conor loses his cool. First of all, quick question: when that's happening, do you even notice it?
Yeah, I heard him the whole time.
Did it fire you up a little bit?
Yeah, kind of, man. Because I felt like, well, first of all, it was mad disrespectful. Just the whole thing. But like, I don't know, man. I'm not like stupid, Like I'm not like I know I'm in there for me, but like. I just kind of was thinking to myself. I was in this fight like because I was winning. I felt like I was winning the whole time. So I wasn't like.
I think everybody felt like you were winning that fight.
But like they were. I don't know, man. They just. You're like how can you like are you on my team? Like how are you helping? How is what you're saying beneficial for your guy you're supposedly coaching? Like,
right.
How is this helping him out? Like it didn't make any sense to me, man. And I don't know. It did talk bad about my performance. And I thought, like, dude, we had the fight in the house. I was already beat up, and I fought this guy who had good skills, and he was really strong. And it's the round. If you can win 2 of the 3, like,
right.
you can sprint it out. You can So that was a tough little competition to be in, and then we had to go to a third one. But I walked into that busted elbow, busted foot, busted shin. I rolled my ankle, literally getting into the house, like. So I was going in there with sprained ankle. I just beat up, man.
Yeah.
And I did really well in that fight, and against a really good guy, a bigger guy than me, and just that whole little experience was kind of.
Well, and it's cool
for
'cause,
anybody
like,
listening.
that's like a viral moment. That
What
was a viral moment. That was on the internet.
touch on what Connor said, just for anyone listening to that doesn't know what like you're talking about right now.
So Connor didn't want that guy on his back, first of all. He wanted him to press the fight, which still to me didn't seem smart. Like, he wanted him to stand up with you, and I really don't think that was an advantage for him. And I think he was holding his own, but I think that he knew that he needed to go down to the ground.
I think some people, you know what, man, you've seen those memes, the guy, keyboard warrior, the couch warrior or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, it is tough sometimes, man. And I'll just say this, man. It stinks because, like, I can't wait for my next fight so I can continue to, perform, put my resume and but, like, I think for one thing for me is, people don't understand what I'm doing. They don't, guys who are my peers, who are professionals amongst what I do, don't really understand what I'm doing. They don't, like, if I always get a lot of criticism, or I've had a lot of criticism with coaches sometimes, and it's constructive. It's not all. Some of it's constructive, Some of it's more, I want to tell you what to do kind of stuff. But like,
Right.
But I don't really think people get what I'm doing. They don't understand what I'm doing.
Like as far as like your game plan.
Well,
or
I
just
think
as far
Yeah,
as,
explain to us.
like when you watch something, right, and you try to explain what it is you're looking at, right? People have figured out what they're using words now to figure out what they're looking at for other fights. I think it's harder for me because they don't understand it. Guys are expecting me to push them against the cage, or guys are expecting me to take them down, or guys are expecting this. But what they're watching is something they haven't seen. They don't usually see stuff like that. They don't usually see fights the way I fight. They see this guy press forward. Oh, I've heard it before. Yo, man, all those shots you take. But when I leave the fight, I'm not busted up. My jaw doesn't hurt. My face doesn't hurt. I've never had a concussion. I'm not concussed. My lips aren't busted. My eyes aren't swollen.
Yeah, you don't ever look.
I've had some superficial swelling. Like a little eyeliner.
Yeah,
I got perfect
of course
girl
it's gonna
eyeliner on my eyes. After a little swelling, but like that's about it, man. I've never had that. So I just know when people have tried to talk to me or try to. Again, even when I'm commentating, I'm talking about what's going on in the fight, and I know what's happening. I was in there. I'm watching now. I can see it now.
Yep.
But sometimes what people describe is not necessarily what I agree with. When people talk about fights, or people see stuff, or people criticize, and I listen. For me, but some of the things I think about and what I appreciate, what I value about what's going on in the fight, or the things that I'm being. Some guys aren't aware of that, or they don't care about that, or they don't pay attention to it. I'm not really sure what it is. I just feel. For me, I move a little different. I see things a little different. I choose to do things a little different. And it's not pop culture. It's not normal. It's not the common. So like when I use certain words, I think certain things mean a little something different to me. Like people will talk about pressure. I've had that referred to me as a description of how I fight. But I don't understand what that means because I don't feel any pressure when I fight. I'm just doing me. That's a description of what they feel, what they see, I don't know what that means.
Well, there's a difference between walking in with a game plan and then also just walking in and just playing the field how it lies, like playing how you feel you should fight a match. And, like there's some people that, Yair Rodriguez comes out, like, there's going to be some big kicks thrown. Like Demian Maia comes out, he's going to be trying to do some jiu-jitsu and stuff. Whereas like for you, your game plan is just to figure out how the opponent presents himself and figure out your way, your line of attack, and the direction you're going to take on it. So I think that's something that's unique about a lot of good fighters is that you can't always just, break apart their game plan before the fight.
Well, here's something to think about, right? you take a combat sport like wrestling or judo or sambo or doing whatever the case may be, right? And there's rules, and guys will train themselves and practice things within those rules. And there's rules for safety. There's rules for the competition, and there's rules for safety for the athlete. That's across the board. Doesn't matter what country you're in, there's all those rules set in place. When you get to MMA, they have their rules. It is the game. It's just like everything else. But the rules that you would have for wrestling or for jiu-jitsu or for whatever, those rules all of a sudden don't live in an MMA fight. So some of the problems that I have being a fan of what I do and being a fan of others is that you see a lot of copycats. You see the guy looking at the next guy trying to imitate the next guy, but that's not learning martial arts. That's not really what combat is. You're trying to imitate what somebody else did, somebody else's expression of what they think. But there's tons of stuff that happens in MMA fights every once in a while. We like these wild moments. Oh my gosh, you see that. But some ways that should be happening a lot more. Why do you see fights so confined when like all the rules for all these other sports no longer apply to this one? Why are we stuck in some little bubble and we only see kind of the same pitter pat fights? What that doesn't make any sense to me.
Because it makes money for them, probably. A lot of times. I mean, it sucks because I think that's what a lot of people's driving factor is. Even in something as personal as martial arts, where not everybody's in there to learn it for the right reasons, where it's really a press. I mean, for you, I mean, dude, you look comfortable in there. You look comfortable when you're in that ring, that's got to be intimidating for the other person. You don't look nervous. You see guys that are trying to be amped up. You know, they're trying to get jacked up. They're trying to intimidate somebody or whatever. They're coming out like it's WWF.
Yeah, I'm getting 911, so.
Uh-oh.
You guys can keep your conversation going.
But that's what's it like being on that show, being in that house?
You're the camp. It's like, we were an all boys camp, and then, like they were split, so there's teams. So we had our side, their side, and we mingled in between. But there's a competition. They were split. These are the Europeans, we're the Americans. But it was overall a good experience, man. Like it was tough being in there. I had some stuff going on. I didn't really know what I was going to do, and it just was kind of not what I expected it to be. When I got in there, I had some things I thought, well, if at the very least, and then it wasn't. Overall, it still ended up being a good experience, but it's away from home, and it's more like it gets to be redundant. You're just doing the same thing, and I sat there and was like looking at the clock, kind of like watching the seconds go by, counting down the time, counting the days, counting weeks, the days, the hours, the minutes, the seconds.
That's tough, dude.
So and then too, you start hearing the same conversation from the same people. That becomes. All right.
I don't even I just had family come into town, and I love all my siblings and stuff, but 2 days of having somebody in my house, I'm like, oh man, nothing. Everybody's really gracious and they're good, but I can't even imagine being in. It's not your house.
Well, they do some things like okay, so they have these, you're sharing a room with a couple of guys, right? So there's bunk beds. The bunk beds are squeaky. Like there's. I don't know if that was planned or whatever, but like, so then also none of the bathrooms had locks, and there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras in the bathrooms. There was only one bathroom that didn't have a camera and it had a lock. And so I'd get up and I'd always go to that one. I'd take a shower in the one that's in our room, but then like there was a down common area bathroom that had a lock. I would go in there and I would use that one.
That's so crazy.
But what ended up happening is everybody started walking in on each other. Like that was like a blooper reel. Like,
yeah, man, you watch those shows, and the one thing I like about that show is it's real. Like for the most part, you can tell that you guys those are legitimate. They're not scripting you guys, are they? In the house?
Events that happened on the show that I was on, but played out the way the season went. I didn't watch it and go.
It's not like The Bachelorette and The Bachelor where they're scripting that whole show from start to finish.
Well, there was a moment that I thought was a little set up, but but as far as fights and things,
dude, if there's one moment out of that whole experience, that's not bad. Yeah. It's TV. You got to expect it a little bit.
Yeah, look at Conor McGregor. Who's that? Man, slipping my tongue right now.
What, the other coach?
No, not you're right. No, right.
He's got to be kind of cool to meet.
It was. He had some good stuff to show. Again, the whole experience wasn't what I thought it was. Was going to be, but it was interesting. It was interesting to be.
Do you train a lot while you're there?
Kind of.
Compared to what your normal.
It's not like So that was kind of the hard thing too. Like it was kind of hard to train with guys. You have to train with these guys you don't really know. You're just meeting them. You're stuck with them. You're kind of living with them. You're kind of doing the commute with them, and again, like the coaches don't really know you, or I don't really know me. Working with guys who want to win this fight and don't, they. So it's kind of a really weird, I kind of felt like I was more doing katas and mental work and, just trying to stay healthy, trying to keep my weight down was a real hard problem for me, actually. Struggled with that.
What was that? Why?
I just started creeping up, man. Just eating
Food
right.
in the house, or
Okay, that was like so that's a cool thing that they like part of the experience was like so you have like a list and you put anything on it and the next day it would be there. So if I want tres leches cake and I want but no, I ate really well. I ate really well, but it just it was like it's a half hour out from where we were staying at to the gym. It was a half hour drive, so it was a half hour there, it was a half hour back. We have only 2 hours there, so we get there, start on the clock, time we change, get the locker room, head out to the mat, warm up. By the time okay, you have your own. Like it's not a lot of time, and then you're stuck in the house, not kind of really doing anything. So I'd get up in the morning and they have tennis court, and I would try to run around the tennis court to try to get some road miles in.
Yep.
And it was tough, man. I just wasn't, it just wasn't burning enough, wasn't doing enough, wasn't. So, but it's a different lifestyle. All of a sudden, you just pick up, you don't know what to expect, and it's a different experience, different lifestyle.
Well, not a lot of people get to be on stuff like that, and the fact that you did it, really, I mean, if you think about it, totally different. These other people that do reality shows, they're just going into casting and stuff. Like you earned it. Like you had to fight to get to that point, and you fought in multiple leagues, right? It's not just the UFC. You fought in.
I fought in the World Series. I did one of the Strike Force. I have that on Raging the Cage, and then some local, not local, but I guess within the you go nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
Some different venues, different places I fought at. So
you got anything scheduled coming up, or are you still working that out?
I still, I gotta get cleared after my ACL rehab. I got 2 more months of that, but I think honestly maybe somewhere around early 2020, February at the earliest, maybe.
Cool.
January, March. No, not January. Might be March, April, maybe at the latest.
Nice. The knees are tough, bro. I blew my whole right knee out, and when I watch you guys fight after that, I'm so like I just bow my head, and because I know how painful it was for me. Like I tore my meniscus, my MCL, had to have orthoscopic.
Yeah, it's tough.
And the rehab for it's a pain in the ass because it's not like a lot of other stuff. Like your balance, your other knee starts to hurt, your hip starts to hurt, and just watching that John Jones and was it just the last one that he just fought against? It's not Dos Santos.
Oh yeah. No, it is Dos Santos.
Bro, I was cringing and screaming in this because I saw him blow it in the first, and I was just like, he just smoked his whole knee, and then he just kept kicking with it. He never flinched. He never showed any like. They said he MCL, PCL, ACL, and meniscus blew it all out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he still fought the whole fight.
You know what, man? I hate the media kind of stuff, because that dude's dope. I think that dude should have won the fight at that point. The way you feel about it, the way the fight looked. I'm like, and when his knee went, we all saw his body. So for 4 more rounds,
I've never seen anything like that.
You know what I'm saying? I get tired of the John Jones rhetoric that he's the best ever, this, that, and other. Listen, the game's changed. Part of MMA, was still in the early days. Like he's part of a second generation going in. Some of the guys he fought 4, 5, 6 fights into the fight or in his UFC career got cut. Were really 85ers. You know what I mean? Yeah. Since he's been back, he's fought guys a little more his size. Look is good.
Dude, if that knee doesn't go out in that fight, I don't think he's gonna win that fight.
You saw it too, man. Yeah, if that knee would have been good,
I don't think Jones either. Dude, he couldn't walk out. He had to get carried out, and I think Dos Santos walked out.
Yeah.
I think he walked out with a completely blown knee, and he kicked that man so hard in his leg that Jones couldn't walk out on it. I don't think if he's got a healthy knee, because he does those cartwheel kicks and all this awkward stuff for a big man of his stature to be able to do that stuff is it's slow motion when he does it, but it works for him because he just throws himself at you.
Yeah. Well, he's
Have you ever met him?
Yeah, actually, he was an ATT. Yeah. An American ATT.
Man, that fight, I just want to shake his hand and
that dude's a beast. He really is, man. So those are performances. Those are fights, fun fights to watch. and it's not even like based on too, because you kind of have like this story of like heroic effort put forth by Dos Santos, because like
It's got Thor's hammer on his chest, bro.
I mean,
Like,
it's
you got to be pretty badass
Yeah.
to tattoo. I don't even know how to say the Minotaur or whatever his thing is. That's just crazy.
it is, man.
But yeah, I think everybody. I wanted to see Jones lose that fight. Nothing against him, but I just watching all of Dos Santos fights up to that.
How can you be a fan of Jones?
No, not.
It's hard to be a fan of him, and then again,
You're rooting for the bad guy.
and like it's not like he's got a whole bunch of finishes lately. Like his finishes are guys who were either again like they were 85ers, they're half a foot shorter than him. They're got a foot. Like how are those impressive fights? How are we?
You good? Or you gotta?
No. I'm good.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure you didn't have to leave.
I don't know, man. I'm not a big Jones fan, man. I'm not a big Jones fan.
I mean, some of his early fights were fun to watch. But I don't like the.
Well, too, the success is like when you see success, you're like, oh man, this guy got success, and he stayed a good person. Like, but that's not the story. That's not. I mean, and again, maybe it's all media, or maybe it's all like, fake news, man. Maybe this is just to. That doesn't seem the case, man. I feel
No,
like he's
bro.
generally
He
kinda
wrecked
just
that
not
car, ran back for money, and I think drugs. And I mean, dude, there's been so many little things like. But at the same time, there's enough. That sport just. I think they're at that point in it where people weren't taking it quite as serious as it needed to be. Like boxing, that payout is crazy. That payout is insane. Floyd can fight some scrub and make $200 million.
They always make the comparison, but like I feel like boxing's just got more money.
But that's my
It's
point.
just
Is
been around a little
when
longer.
Connor does this crazy stuff and he acts like a madman, and it pulls these numbers that allow, once you hit a ceiling, it's like, well, you're this guy and you're ranked here, and this is a ceiling, so we're gonna pay you this. But when he moves that ceiling up, your rate moves up. Everybody's rate moves up when he starts doing that, because then the next person gets it, and now the next fight they want that money. And I think you're seeing that. That's why, the Diaz brother, like Diaz ain't going to fight unless he gets paid. He's already made enough money.
Who is his next fight again? Oh, Pettis.
That's going to be a good fight.
I think it'll be.
I think it's a good fight. But again, he does the same thing. And I think that in this sport, enough respect isn't given to the skill that you guys put forth. And it's unfortunate that some of these guys have to do this stuff. Just like Connor saying in that fight, come on, man, it's all business. You know this. And Khabib just... It's not, bro.
Hey, Chris, were you pre Reebok deal? Did you ever get to wear shorts with your own sponsors and shit on them? No, you've always been in Reebok shorts, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the finale was I wore the finale stuff. I didn't get a Reebok back.
That's right, because that was kind of a big deal when
You
they started doing that Reebok deal and they stopped all the sponsors and stuff. Because I mean, fighters were making a lot of money from those sponsors and wearing those in the ring, in the cage rather, and yeah, I think that changed a lot, and they changed the whole pay structure. Like within your first 5 fights or within your first 10 fights, like you have a certain pay structure, and once you break past like 10 or 11 fights, I don't know how it works. You obviously probably know a lot more about how like your contracts set up, but that's why like Donald Cerrone, that dude fights like fucking more than 5 times a year, which is not typical.
He's a beast too. Goddamn.
And he's already got whatever like 30 plus fights.
Well,
just
Monster's
in the
paying
organization.
him. Monster's paying him well.
Yeah,
'Cause
and he still has a Budweiser
sponsorship.
sponsor, even though he doesn't like wear it in the ring. I think
He's one of those guys that has like this persona around him that the sponsorships are that's easy for him. Like he could get a sponsorship for Chew. You know what I mean? Like
I was
it wouldn't
so
matter.
sure that Donald Cerrone was going to get a Budweiser logo tattooed on him once he wasn't allowed to put it on his shorts anymore. I was like, I bet he would tattoo that shit on him.
Yeah, the check better be pretty big for me to tattoo your company on me. Whether I like your beer or not, like you're paying me big for that one. But when you got Fight of the Night, was that you get a bump for that too?
Yep.
So that's nice.
No, everybody wants extra money, man. Like what's enough money? I don't know if that.
Yeah,
that
well,
is.
you're fighting because you love fighting, but you didn't decide to make a career out of it just because you love it.
I think enough money is when someone offers you the fight that you would normally want and you laugh at it. Like, nah, I'm good. I got enough money. I'm Steve Harvey rich over here. I don't care. Fire me from every job. I'm good.
Well, I think some of winning fights, you get you get some notoriety. Eventually you get enough popularity that fighting's not how your income comes in, and that's when all of a sudden you start leaving fighting because this plush life over here is making equal or if not more money, and I ain't got to go do this to make it,
Yeah.
So I think like Pacquiao, a guy like Pacquiao, man, that dude loves boxing. That's why he's still doing it.
That's true.
40-year-old with the belt.
Robbie Lawler's still grinding away,
He's in his late 30s.
But he's still
Pacquiao?
No.
I was gonna say Pacquiao's the
Robbie
first 40-year-old to win a belt.
I remember
think
seeing
is what
Robbie
they were just
Lawler.
saying.
I think was it WEC. I remember seeing Robbie Lawler when he still had hair. A long time ago. He's been fighting for a long time.
Yeah, some of these guys.
Vitor's still fighting right now. He's like on his 21st year or some shit.
That's crazy, dude.
Vitor Belfort is still fighting?
Yeah, he just asked Joe Rogan. Well, he didn't ask him formally. He posted on like an Instagram post or something like, "Hey Joe Rogan, my very first fight, which was whatever, like UFC like 12 or something. It was the first UFC that Joe Rogan commentated on. He said, "Hey, we started my career together, and I think he's now in like ONE FC or one of the other big promotions." And he posted like, I would be honored to have Joe Rogan come corner my fight for me, like let me know if we can make it happen. And because like we started my career together, and I'd like to like now that I'm in a different organization, I'd like to start in this organization together as well. So I don't know whatever came of that.
Joe's just so cool, bro. Like I hope he's really like that. That's all I can say is I gotta hope and assume that he is. But he just comes off
They
just
say you
so.
never want to meet your heroes.
Nope,
right?
I don't. I'm going to see him in December when he comes out here. I got tickets to that show, but I had to. Like, there's no way. He just, dude, he's so entertaining. His stand-up's great.
There's a show with him and Dave Chappelle that's supposed to be happening.
Yeah, that's the one you're talking about in December.
No, that one's different. Just his. But yeah, he's been hitting like Denver, all those places you were talking about, Oregon.
I think it's Salt Lake City.
He does all those like up through. It pisses me off because he'll go all the way up and around, like you said, Salt Lake City. He'll go into Utah, but then he won't come down into Arizona and do that show. But he'll be here in December.
He didn't like Arizona for a while. He's talked about before, like the Tempe Improv and stuff. But now he's like, they changed a lot.
It has, dude. I go there all the time.
I saw him at Comerica last year.
That's what we're going to this year.
2 or 3 years ago, I saw him in Vegas with Ian Edwards and Joey Diaz. That was a fun.
I'd like to see Joey Diaz. I really would, because he cracks me up, dude. Him and which you kind of have the Theo Von vibes going right now, which is not a bad thing. But you could cut a badass mullet with that hair, bro. I just get jealous because I can't grow any hair. So when I see somebody that's got like a really full head of hair, I'm like, fuck.
Dude, I'm blessed, man, because like this is hair that I'm sitting around just hanging out, minding my own business, and then somebody will come up to me and just start hating on my hair. But really, like,
I'm not hating. I don't want you to think that I'm hating. No, I don't want you to take that wrong, because I'm definitely not hating on your hair. If anything, I'm extremely jealous that I still don't have my hair. So
you can't hate on any hair.
I don't. I'm like the most, like, I appreciate you. My mom's a hairdresser, man. It was the hardest day. When I went home, I had a motorcycle. So when it started falling out, I got my like first like girlfriend that I labeled her as my girlfriend, and I had a crotch rocket, brand new crotch rocket. Every time I'd take my helmet off, like some hair like was just like falling out, and it's just like it killed me, dude. Because like I had the bike, man. That's what I drove everywhere. And finally, when I sold the bike, my hair was just thin, and I just cut it all off. I couldn't do it anymore. I started buzzing it, and I went to my mom. I'm like, "You gotta save me," and she's like, "You're done. Here's your razor." And I was like, "No, Mom, you gotta help me. Like, what do we do for this?" And she's like, "You get a fucking box of razors and you start shaving your head." And so ever since, I used a buzzer for a while, right? And she came out one year. You met my mom when you got here. She's brutally honest, dude. She'll say shit, and I'm just like, "Mom, dude, what are you doing?" She came out, took one look at me from I'd been buzzing my head, and she was like, "So you're still using the clippers, huh?" "Yeah, you look bad." And I'm just like, "Really?" Like, she's like, "Dude, you look old. You look like you're 45." And I was like not even 30 yet. Old. Oh, well, at the time, like the bottom, because the top won't grow. So like,
asshole, bro.
She lit me up. She was like, "You need to shave it with a razor." So ever since, I've just shaved my head with a razor, and she doesn't pick on me anymore. Hey, it's good to have honest parents sometimes and just let her.
That's true.
I used to tell her, like, when she was going out, like, "You're not wearing that out. You look bad. Go change that." Got to be honest with your parents, man. We just went to the grocery store. It's the first time I've been in a grocery store with my sister and my mom since probably when my sister was able to ride in the cart. And dude, if you were listening in that grocery store, like, you would think we all hate each other so much, but we really don't. We love each other an immense amount.
I believe you got to be honest with everybody, man. Just be honest in general. But sometimes when you love somebody, you tell a little white lie, just to save them,
Yeah, definitely. My wife doesn't, she doesn't do that either. She just hits me with the truth
She
right
just
between
hits
the
you with a
eyes.
baseball bat and just listen.
Actually, it's an ironing board.
You ugly son of a
I
gun.
got it one time. I got pissed off walking home from the bar. We were walking with some people, and they were all giving me shit because I got us kicked out because I was drinking too much. And so I hulked my shirt on the way home and just did like the Hulkamania, and I took off running. And I got into the apartment, and I went into the bed. And I woke up by getting pulled out of the bed by my ankles. And when I hit the floor and I stood up, she hit me like crossways with a ironing
Or
board.
jabbed you with it.
Like, bop, right in the mouth, dude. And I was just like, what are you doing right now?
At least she knew the structural integrity of the ironing board.
She
It
knew
was
how
all
to
stronger
do it.
to
Yeah,
jab
she didn't
with
do
it.
the folding chair thing, dude. She battle rammed me with that thing. And, and then she never ever struck me again after that, but it was for leaving her walking home at night. We had just moved out here. So she was like, you just left me walking home in Phoenix. It was Arrowhead, but still, to her, that was the ghetto. She was scared. She got mad at me, dude. She kicked my ass. I took it like a man.
Yeah.
Cried a little bit, went to bed, But that's, dude, it's tough when you got all the family around. You live around all your family?
No.
And how does your mom feel about you fighting?
She loves it.
I was just gonna say my mom would love it.
How was like 7th grade wrestling? Was your mom like a mess then? Or?
She doesn't love it, man. I mean, she deals with it. She cheers me on.
Has she always kind of been the same throughout like your whole wrestling growing up, going through high school and stuff? Has she always kind of been the same type of feeling like for as a mother? Is she the same way now with your fighting?
That was never. My mom went to one of my wrestling matches, and I picked this kid up, and I took him down. It was legal, but I got disqualified for it. And I got when I get in the car, I go home. She starts yelling at me. She's like, "Why did you hurt that kid?" It's like, Mom, I didn't mean to hurt him. I picked him up. He chose to land wrong. Like, I mean, there's a right way to do this, Like he just. But my mom, like that was it. Like my mom watched me wrestle a couple times. Good job. Like I went out there. She expected me to win, but she didn't. My mom worked. She didn't get really to see me wrestle a whole lot.
That's how my mom was, man. She worked. She raised us by herself, so it's crazy, man. Like, what is your plan long term? Because obviously, I mean, how long do you fight? You're 30. You're 33 now,
dude.
Right? You're 30, 34.
Yeah, 33.
33.
33. I kind of feel like honestly, I'm better. I feel better. Like I'm more skilled than I've ever been.
But I mean, at a certain point, say 45,
I don't. I mean, however long it goes, right? Like at some point, but I just go as far as I can go. And honestly, like I just like doing this, man. I enjoy it. I like teaching. I like there's other aspects to going on. I enjoy doing like you get kids and it's fun, man. It's fun to watch kids grow. It's fun to watch kids develop skills. It's fun to be with people who are serious about competing. Mm-hmm. Serious about training, like that's a good environment to be in. I thrive in that.
So is that something you would probably go coach or do something like that after?
Yeah, I'm just kind of here. Like to be honest, man, I feel like I can do anything. I don't really worry about this because if I chose, when I choose to stop this and I choose to do something else, like I've done this by myself. Nobody, I wasn't raised into fighting. I wasn't raised into. I went and studied. I went and found places. I asked questions. I wanted something. I went and got it. That's all I got, so as soon as this is over for me, like I'm almost kind of looking forward to that because what is next?
It's funny. That's the successful people do that. It's
and
like
I think I've always noticed too, like since basically you graduated, like your adult life, you've actually really enjoyed coaching like a lot of kids too. I think ever since you graduated high school and you started like working at the gym and stuff, you've always been coaching kids, right?
I mean, I did.
Where are you training at here?
Right now, you have teachers. Someone teaches out of their house in the garage.
Okay.
So it's a small group, and I just go to PT right now. I'm not really training anywhere. I can't really do that type of athletic workouts right now with the way my knee is still.
How long ago did you?
4 months ago.
Oh,
that's when I got surgery.
Do you have anything contract abiding about like once you get out of surgery, how soon you can start training?
Like it's.
Or is it just
no? It's just doctor stuff. That's all it is. Like it's not a big deal or anything.
But you have a contract with the UFC, so there are like you have to communicate with them about all that stuff with the doctors.
Yeah, to some extent, but it's not like they're hurry up.
Right.
Up,
no,
like,
absolutely.
That's not. They're just
But I was just that you have to run. Everything's got to go through your doctor, then back through them, or do they appoint you where you go?
They can help, but yeah.
4 months, dude, and you're walking around like you're walking. Or you just did the surgery 4 months ago.
4 months ago, I just did the surgery. I did the surgery 4 months ago. So I've had 4 months of therapy. I got about 2 more months, and then they say I can start getting on the mat and start training. So I'm about 2 months away from when they're telling me I can hit the mat. Wow. So, and then after that's kind of more seeing how long it takes me to get 200%, get to where I feel like I'm moving again, where I can fight, I can do all that. So, and that part I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't. Like my first ACL, it took me about a year and 3 months.
It's scary when you blow your knee out.
It is.
I'm not even gonna sit here and try to sugarcoat it like I was tough, dude. I cried. I was a mover at the time, so I freaked because I couldn't walk and I couldn't stand upright. And they were just like, they tell you right off, like, you'll never be the same. Like, that knee will never be the same as it was. Or my guy was just an asshole when he told me that. But it really was like mentally defeating for me because one of my biggest things, which you being a smaller guy, I got to assume same thing, is my balance and agility is huge for me. Just in anything that I do, like I've always considered myself to be a very agile and balanced person. So to know that maybe cutting right or left.
Well, yeah, whenever your body fails on you, right? Like that's why injuries happens, because your body didn't do what it needed to do to protect itself. But the therapy process, I think done right. I hear a lot of bad stories. So far it's been good, and my past experience was really good. You just got to put the right mindset, man. It's about building yourself. Your knee's not going to be the same, but that doesn't mean it's going to be worse. You know what I mean?
And my way of looking at it doesn't mean you can't build everything up around it better than it was before. And that was my whole ideology on getting. And now if I bend them really, like if I really get way down low when I bend it, I can kind of feel it. But other than that, like when I'm pressing as long as I have them taped up, if I'm doing heavy weight, I'm good. It's that if it's not taped and I'm doing like presses or anything, this knee gets a little loose, like it's a little shaky. I had to have a piece of my meniscus pulled out because it would pop out of place and like go to the side of my knee, and then I couldn't step down. And I fought it for about a year, and then it popped out, and I was carrying boxes, moving furniture in Boston, and I went down 13 steps because it popped out, and I was like, I got it. Like I can get to the bottom of the stairs because I couldn't put the boxes down. There was nowhere to put them. So I just was like, I can get to the bottom of the stairs, and then I'll pop. Because all I would do is let my leg go limp, and I would just push the piece, and it would pop like a puzzle back into the spot.
That sounds fun.
It was terrible. And so I took the step, and it just gave out. It was like, nope, we're not doing this. And I fell all the way to the bottom of the stairs. Then they pulled that piece out, and within a couple months, like the pain was gone, the looseness. But now, like when I'm pushing heavy weight, I can feel my kneecap. Like as long as I brace it, if I even just put my hand on it, I can really get the rest of my muscles to activate. But my knee wants to do all this work, and it's just, you don't realize how much your knee and your hip, like how much pressure you put on them. I mean, and you're a bigger guy, buddy. You better start taking care of them babies. Make sure you don't.
I've never really had any knee problems. I like shattered my left ankle. I've broken a bunch of different bones, just small stuff, nothing real big.
Well, and you're good now too, because like when you finally decide to retire at a certain point and you get old enough, those knee replacements and shit like that, if you do toast your knees out, it's nothing now. Those guys are back walking within a day.
This is the thing. Like, I didn't need to get ACL surgery to live normal life. Like, I could walk around, I could move around, I could lift weights. And let's talk about fitness just for the sake of, like, a lot of people work out because they want to look good. They want to look good naked, right?
Absolutely.
That's what my wife says. That's not necessarily, like I work out to perform, but I think those are benefits, right? But like if I wanted to do what everybody else was doing, I didn't need to get ACL surgery. I could just go get a job, and really I could move stuff. I could pick things up. It wasn't like my knee was so loose that I couldn't do. But if I wanted to cut, if I wanted to fight, if I wanted to kick, if I wanted to pivot, I need stability. I need to have that. So that's why I'm going through this process, man. Cause I think I'm gonna do. I had a great performance with this Joe fight. I feel like it's in me every fight. I feel like I've done that. I feel I'm great fights if you watch my fights, and I feel like I've turned the corner. And then I just had this unfortunate event happen.
I feel like the Joe fight though, you put everything together so quickly in that fight, and the fact that you stopped a guy that everybody. I mean, what were you like? You were the underdog in that fight.
I was.
and he maybe had a solid 20 to 30 seconds all together of those rounds that I saw. Like, I watched it again before you got here just to make sure that I wasn't missing something. And
that was the easiest fight
But-
I've had to date.
but
That
for
was
you,
the easiest fight.
that's like everything lining up. Like, you fought a guy that's so well known. You've already been doing your thing, but you did your thing to, like, you took it to the next level, dude. You looked so clean in that fight.
You want to hear something that was like kind of cool? This is what it was like. So like, you believe in fate or destiny or your favor. I don't know if you're a believer. You know, that fight was scheduled for Tony Ferguson and Kahib. Tony Ferguson busts his shin and is pulled out of the fight a week before the fight happens. And now it's Max Holloway. Max Holloway gets pulled out of the fight like 3 days. Now Conor McGregor throws a dolly, and Michael Chiesa and somebody else gets pulled off the card. They try to give the fight to Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis, I think, declined it or asked for too much money or something. They try to give it to now she commentates. Who is his name? Fedler. They tried to get the fight to Fedler. He wasn't ranked. They ended up giving it to Alex Quinta. Alex Quinta ends up getting that fight. All of that stuff happened, right? Originally, when I had, like, they're putting the broadcasting, I was like, you know, like the third card on the prelims, right? Like, they have the fight pass prelims, and then there's like the television portion. I was like the third fight or the second fight, right? And they had like 5 fights on there. Because all those things, right? All those things had to happen. Like, that was a crazy week. There was a bunch of all those things. But because that stuff happened, right, it pulled me and Joe on the pay-per-view.
Onto like
So
the
now
fifth fight on the main
we're not
card.
just talking about like.
Does that reschedule, or does that they have to recontract that, like,
No.
money wise? Because now you're on a pay per
You
view.
ever get those? You ever get those? You know,
Is there like bumps that they give you because
no,
it's a paid?
but like you get those things. You know, like when you buy a pay-per-view, you know, subject to change. Like, that we're, you know, like we're already contracted to fight. It doesn't matter where they put us. We're being on the pay-per-view is like, you know, like I got more viewerships. They put me in a better place.
So it's not really a paid difference to be on that part.
But there are benefits to being on the pay-per-view.
Oh, absolutely.
He got seen by a lot more people. Get the performance.
Oh yeah,
of the
no
night.
doubt. I was just wondering, like, if they take you from the television part and they put you on.
Are you able to get performance of the night if you're on the prelim card, or can that only be a main card?
Yeah, you can get. There's no stipulations.
I wasn't sure because I've seen some bangers of some fights on prelim fights before.
I mean, I do believe if you're more well known, you're like, I don't think those, you know, like, there's no structure or some, like, there's no rules to be of fairness to how to get a bonus. You know, like, the bonuses are, you know,
There's
performance
just
bonuses.
The odds and the opportunities being seen are better.
Fight of the night.
I don't think you shocked everybody as much as it shocked
shocked
everybody that you did it so fast. I think that, like, people know that you could fight. Like, they even said it in the thing that you were a banger in there. That wasn't a surprise to them. But the way you did it so quick, like, I mean,
and
they just stopped it.
And
like,
have like a corner
which was
stoppage or
weird.
a
Yeah,
doctor
that's what I'm
stoppage.
saying. That was so weird because, like, he was done.
That doesn't happen in MMA.
It doesn't happen. But
That's what I was saying. I watched it and I was just like,
one of Gritz's like early fights. And like way smaller promotion before UFC. I remember he had like a doctor stoppage happen, and I think it was like against a UFC guy. Like, that got was not in the league anymore. Like, lost his contract. Do you remember that at all? You had like a doctor stoppage way early on. This is when you were still pretty new into fighting. You were like fairly young at the time, and it was one that I had like watched online. You know, like I went and like found it because I heard he was fighting that night, and like found like a live broadcast on some, like, you know, front row sports.
I was gonna say, I remember you gave me the hookup on some of that shit.
Yeah, and I had watched it, and I was surprised. I was like, damn, that doesn't ever happen in the MMA very often.
Well, okay, but the last time it did happen was George St. Pierre, BJ Penn. So the last time it did happen was also a legendary, like two dudes at like a good time of their career. Like, they could fight. They were fighting good. These guys were sharp, you know. So yeah,
And
but I mean, okay. So I'm gonna be honest here, right? Because the thing is that fight happened over a year. Like, by the time I fight, it'll be almost 2 years before that thing happened.
But
like,
you were supposed to fight in March, right?
I was supposed to fight. Dude, I had like 3 fights that I was supposed to schedule. Just like, dude, I just had 2 life events that pulled me out of 2, and then I found out I had a torn ACL. So like, so this has been, but like this is okay. So whatever happens for a reason, man. Like, whatever, why, what, I'm supposed to be going through this. It is what it is, man. But I'm excited to come back, man. I'm excited. I study martial arts, man. I do some traditional style stuff. The thing that I had to do in Joe's fight, the reason why you don't see other fights like that is because I do the more like traditional karate. I do katas. I do like you don't see that. A lot of MMA guys don't do that stuff, man. But I like times like this. I've been doing far more of this stuff, and I feel like that's the difference. That's the difference in how I chose to move versus why somebody else chooses to move. Those are the things. But like I feel like I've gotten better. That some of that stuff is a study. It's not physical. It's more mental. I mean, we hear that, football is 90% mental. It's only 10% physical. And I there's like a lot of truth to that. I mean, I think that Joe fight is a perfect example of that for me. If I was just put my, and so I'm just excited, man. I'm gonna go out there and do something amazing. I think.
Do you have any ideas who your fight is gonna be? Anybody in your mind that you're hoping that you can get?
Anybody who I can get like a top 15er.
Yep.
To get me starting in the rankings, whatever I got to do to get to there. Because those guys do, I mean, getting top 50, being in the rankings, those do help with, sponsorships and,
absolutely.
Notoriety. And that's kind of like.
That's the next step for, I think, anybody.
I'm not very good at the business part of this. Let me be honest with you. I'm not very good. And this is some of the part of them, like, I've done what I've done so far on my own. But, like, I need help. Like, I absolutely need help. You need a team. You need support. And you need it from, like, a physical standpoint, but you also need it from a financial support. You need it from like a spiritual standpoint. You need
mental,
from like
everything.
It's important to have those things, man. It makes successful people have those things, or they build those things around.
Well, because you're doing all that.
Some of this stuff I've been doing on my own. Like,
but that's the thing. You do all that. That's exhausting.
So for the strength and conditioning, I did that. I did that for the Joe Lozon fight, man.
Yeah, you were using like a really like a team or
the Joe,
coach or
the Joe Lozon,
regimen.
You
did
your. I did not just that, but I was living in this little town in North Carolina, 30,000 people. It's a real small community. And I was training I trained for 3 months getting ready for that. And then the last month I went down to American Top Team. But like a lot of the programming that a lot of the training that I did for the 3 months in North Carolina, that's what came out of the fight. And I was training with like 9 to 5. I mean, I don't get me wrong. You have to be around certain people for certain stuff, need certain things, right? But I think the important stuff for a fighter or a martial artist, it's the katas, man. It's about hard, smart work, not hard, physical, intense, abusive work, And I see a lot of that in gyms, man. I see these guys taking I see a lot of guys who are hungry to be good, hungry to be great, hungry to be part of the team, just so hungry to be just on the team to help, to be a part of something, that they end up being punching bags. You end up being a rag doll for somebody else. And I see a lot of guys who have potential, but I don't necessarily see a lot of guys. I see a lot more guys quit than I see make it. I see a lot of guys get run down in the ground than I see get to the next promotion, get to the next show to continue to do this. You know what I mean? So like, I kind of pulled away from that, man. I pulled away from that a long time ago, and I didn't do all this mega hard work. I didn't follow what normal people did. I did something completely new, and in some ways I had to. I just kind of like wasn't working out here in Arizona, and I needed something new. Like I really just needed to get out. I needed a new environment.
Mm-hmm. And, dude, that's a huge thing.
Dude, it was, but like,
because depression can set in without you knowing you're depressed. But that's hard.
On paper, I had less than I'd ever had before, and went out and made, you know what I mean? And again, through that whole everything that went down with the, Tony and Kahib, like, it was kind of a crazy time. Like that whole.
You had to been standing back just watching that going.
I look back and I go, how did that even happen? Like, how did I get there? How did I get there? Like, I don't know how it was just nuts, man. But I was teaching and I was training, and I did it my way, man. And well, not my way. I did it the way I was taught to do it. I stayed disciplined to that. I didn't go off on, but like I stayed strict to what I was taught how to train. And
well, like you said, you can be all the physical you want, but if you don't have the right mental preparation and game, perfect example is that last Joshua Ruiz fight. Like, Joshua is well prepared physically. I mean, the guy's a specimen. And Ruiz is a fat Mexican guy, which he's not fat. I don't want to call him fat, but you stand him next to Joshua, he's fat. And, dude, that's a big deal. And that's when you listen. I listened to the Rogan podcast the other day with him on it. And he's talking about it. You should listen to it, because when you explain to me how you're training and how you're eating and all this, he literally sounds just like you. Like, hey, man, I'm not all into this crazy, crazy stuff. I do what I was taught. I keep it kind of old school. I bring in some new school stuff, but I keep a structure and I just follow it. And like that's basically the same thing you told me before we came in here is like, you don't go nuts on your food, you eat. But you keep it steady all the way through. You eat healthy.
I don't binge. Like some people have cheat days. I don't have cheat days. If I want like some cookies or I want something, but then I never go overboard any day. So I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. We have splurge days, but it's not like every week. It doesn't go like my week. Oh, I did this.
It's Friday. We're gonna go eat.
It's hey, it's Taco Tuesday. We're gonna go like whatever it is, right? Whatever. And then nothing wrong with it. If you're feeling good, you're living life. More power to you. But for me, man, that's just don't get me wrong. It wasn't like I was always like that. Like being a fighter, like there's times in my life where I've lived like a monk. Like there was no sex, no booze, no late nights. A lot of stimulation. Sleep, eat, train, and some of this is because I was trying so hard that there wasn't enough room. The margin for error was so small that I had to do this or I wasn't going to make the weight. Like it literally got down to that. Like the numbers do not lie.
So you fight at what, 155?
Yeah, I fought 45s in the past.
What do you weigh right now?
185 now.
I was going to say, dude, part of me was curious because you watch so many fights on TV. And when I look at like what your weight is and what your height is, your fight weight, that's what I walk around at. So I was super curious when you came in, just like, how big are these guys? Because you're looking at you guys all look like I look at you on that thing and I'm like, dude, he's massive compared to me. But then you get near these people and you're normal people. Yeah. You're in shape. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. You guys are in physical shape. But that's what I love about it because you don't know. Like that chick that they tried to rob on that bus and she was a fighter, bro. And she got up and just lit that dude up. Like, I love that. I think that's the greatest thing in the world because you don't walk around trying to be a scary guy.
You want to be a superhero? Do martial arts. You want to have an ability or have a power that, like, okay, you're not like stronger, but somehow you've gained something that's intangible. It can't be taken away from you. It can't be taken away from you. Once you got it, man. It can't be. It's like knowledge, right? Once you got it, it's yours. But you can build a skill set that will make you stronger than somebody. I mean, yeah, you're pushing weights and you're not stronger than them, but you can do something outside of this, and you're stronger than this person. You're faster, quicker. You're not really. If you went and ran, you know what I mean? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that you take your Joshua, versus Andy Root, like that's what a skilled boxer is able to do. Who's not bigger, who's not stronger, who's not faster, and because he's got skills, he can.
Oh, and he did too. I mean, he was saying it on the interview. He's like, dude, I've been doing this since I was a little kid. He goes, so those punches, when you see me punching and doing those punches, there's so much power behind those little punches because I'm so fluid because I've been throwing those punches since I was 10 years old.
Oh, if you watch his sparring videos, I mean...
Because he doesn't... They look stupid. Like, the hits look kind of goofy. But when you slow it down and you really watch it, like, he is hitting hard with those little punches.
Oh, yeah. He's fast, man. He's real fast.
But you don't realize it when you just watch the fight in normal time and you're just looking at it. You're like, what is he, just slapping him?
But his footwork for such a big guy, like as in a traditional boxing sense,
well,
too.
Plus he packed on weight.
He's got great footwork and he's got great speed for how big he is.
He knew going into that fight, being that Joshua was so big, he packed on extra weight that he normally doesn't pack on for a fight just to balance that, because he knew, like, if he's on me, his weight, just being such a big man, is going to press me, where if I have an extra 10, 15 pounds, I can counter that. And he knew that his speed was good enough that he could kind of overcompensate for it.
And he can box close, too.
Yeah,
a lot of short range power.
Well, we all say this because all of a sudden that's the athletic bod, but like it's sometimes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think maybe I set the precedent or that look or whatever. But like somebody thinks that a really strong person or athlete or a person of great ability is supposed to look like Arnold.
That superhero looking body.
It might have been Tyson.
But the truth, but Tyson doesn't. Tyson's built, but like if you look at him in stature compared to all the heavyweights he fought,
they were
he
built
was not very big.
Well, the other guys were built like competition guys. They were muscular. They were they were tall. He was like a.
But the thing about Tyson too is he was built, but he also was found by Cus Diamante, who raised him at 12 years old. So like like it's not surprising. Like he's not some phenom. Like yo, like Mike Tyson was built by a master boxer, a master trainer, and was crafted.
Have you ever heard that stuff when they talk
like,
about them hypnotizing him and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You ever heard that? Like where he like Custom Auto would take him out and have him hypnotized to like kill. Like
like basically like feel nothing, like have.
They
no
asked
emotion,
him like, did they ever like take you back in and to like hypnotize you to like shut it off? And he was like, no, just kind of had to figure it out. That's why he probably smoked so much weed.
I think. Oh, going back to mindset too, because I had something I wanted to say on it, but I don't want to butt in. I think if we're looking from the outside in, I think a big part of like your mindset too is shout out to Coach Linscomb. Like I think that's a huge part of where you're building your own repertoire, where you do your own thing, you make your own decisions, and you don't force yourself into a regimen that someone creates for you or a training program someone creates for you. You like to kind of do it your own way, and the way you do it so far obviously has been successful enough.
Well, this is something that like, and I can't thank Coach Linscomb enough for being a part of my life and helping me out. But he just had such a high standard, and he was a role model along that. Like he walked the walk. He preached what he did what he preached. And when I haven't really found that, and it's kind of weird because like I've gone to some college wrestling programs, being what I've done, and I've been able to work out, and I just honestly haven't found anything that was as structured as what I got there. And it's what the problem is I've actually run into problems because I was spoiled. I mean, the work was hard, the demand was hard, the expectation was hard, but I have yet to be around any system, any programs that are kind of like that. And so I think the reason I feel like I'm always doing it my way is because I haven't found anybody else who does it at a standard.
That's what I was just going to say that. I was saying maybe since you haven't found someone like Coach Linscomb in that sense, is that you have yourself been seeking out to fill that role any way that you can, even if you've got to do it yourself.
Well, it's a tough. Well, yeah. Well, you have to. You want to.
Well, it's not like there's a directory like, hey, this guy's the most structured coach. You should call him. Like that's hard, dude.
Coach wasn't teaching. He was teaching wrestling, right? But he was teaching life.
He was teaching life lessons.
Absolutely, all the time. So like, I just took the same things. It wasn't.
Do you still talk with him, or?
I don't. I do not.
You should reach out to him.
Some of the like.
I bet he's got a Facebook or something.
Life lessons I've ever heard, just in short, one sentences, have come from that man. Like he was a.
Was he your wrestling coach? Is that what he was?
Did he win some type of like coach of the year or like coach of the state type thing or some shit?
I think they were trying to get him in the Arizona Hall of Fame and work on it for him. He had a.
So y'all had it at school, right?
Yeah.
See, man, we didn't have football or wrestling.
That's rough.
It's tough. It's small town New Hampshire, man. Like
wrestling up on the sticks, bro.
No, you could go to different schools and do it. Like I had to go to a different area just to do hockey, which they still didn't have enough kids our age. So we'd be playing kids that were like 13, 14 when we were like 10 and 11. Which when you're playing hockey, that's not good. It was really tough.
Getting smashed by bigger kids.
Bad. Yeah, it was a lot of fun though, and I got to learn a lot of cool stuff. But it's one of those things like our basketball program. Absolutely incredible because they couldn't afford the insurance for football. So all the money that would go to football would go to basketball. They'd pay coaches that, some places wouldn't even pay coaches. They pay them, but like just a regular dude, like you're going to be the coach. We scouted our coach. Like our girls were undefeated for 3 years straight. Like that. So to us, basketball was everything. Like that's how you just did basketball. But now baseball is such a big deal back there. My little cousin right now is on the World Series. Shout out to Boone Fahey. He is on Little League World Series right now. He's playing. So hopefully they win that game today because they win the game today. I think that's regional. So now they go national after that, and they'll be representing New England. So I think that unless they're already, I gotta get my facts straight because they're either represent New England as of today or today's the deciding match that tells if they're the New England team, which is crazy, man. Like, did you play baseball as a kid?
A little bit.
That seems like the sport. If you really think of like when you take all the facts, what it does to your body, how much money you make.
Or what it doesn't do to your body.
Exactly. How much money you make, the longevity that you can be in the sport.
As far as a career, I'd say definitely.
My football guy, because I have a football player that played for the Cardinals. He played for the Chiefs. He's like 30, 31. Jamel Fleming. Shout out to you, buddy. And he owns pool companies now. Here, he You know, he bought a couple pool companies, and that was one of the first questions I asked him. It was like, what sport's the best sport, money-wise and longevity-wise? And he was like, dude, it's not even a question. Like baseball, football's a pain in the ass because like his situation, he was getting ready for the big contract. He was at that point where they had to sign him for the big one, or, you know, it's not the little contracts. And they'd rather take a rookie, unless you're something super special. They'd rather take some rookie coming in and pay him a rookie salary. You're going to get pretty much the same production out of him. And if you don't think that you're going to be... So at the time he was with the Chiefs before Mahomes, so they weren't really doing a whole lot. The Cardinals weren't doing a whole lot. So like he said, he's like, I've tried out. He tried out for the Rams last year, but that didn't make it. And the dude's in great shape. You know, he's got a good record. Everything on his record is great. It's just... It's a money game when you get into that point where if you're in this weird middle pocket, that why am I going to sign you for, you know, $2 million when I can get this guy for $600,000? That's going to do pretty much the same thing, and he's younger than you, so he probably can take a bigger beating than you can.
Football's a different one, man. You're multiple times a game, sometimes multiple play after play. You're just like in a car accident.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
Every time, like
they'll relook at that one. They're getting more concussions than you guys are.
Dude, fighting is not as bad as you have a lot of things you can do to protect yourself. Like
boxing is way worse.
Way worse
with the bigger gloves.
They just have 2 guys die in the last month.
You know what though? But even for boxing, like that's the nature of the sport. Like it's a gentleman's agreement that we are going to hit each other with our hands. Like that's just
we're gonna in the head mostly.
You know, but like that could happen.
Yeah.
Anywhere that could happen in football. Like that's not a thing.
Well, it's happened in basketball. That player, there was a guy that got hit in the back of the head with a ball and died right on the court.
With the rules, like in boxing too, though, I mean, you could be a walking knockout. You get knocked out, stand back up, get through your count, get up, and just keep getting domed. And especially cutting weight, it's really dangerous. Not having as much hydration, the fluid in your head, can cause a lot of
and your
issues
life
with
expectancy in that sport is so short.
Well, boxing they don't operate the same way. They don't.
Oh, not at all.
They don't cut as much weight. They fight a little more where they're at. But you see boxers a lot leaner. The boxer's body for conditioning is not as like MMA guys kind of have different frames, but like I guess because of the grappling, so much grappling is done, you see more of a wrestler type frame, heavy footed, where boxers are lighter on their feet, they bounce on their toes.
Well, you got to do a lot more too. I mean, boxers aren't punching each other in the fucking legs. You're getting kicked. You're getting kicked. That's my point. Is you're getting kicked in the legs. You're getting kicked in the ribs.
So here's something to think about, right? Because you're a machine. You're a machine, and how you train. Strength is only measured by the task at hand. You are only as strong as whatever you're asked to do. So you can be great and strong over here, and then be asked to do something over here, and all of a sudden you're not a very strong person anymore. The amount of volume that it takes, the amount of like endurance, explosion, to be able to throw as many punches as that those guys are required to throw to get the game going, right? I mean, because those guys, the other thing that people don't understand about boxing is like, guys can throw, and you can sit there and do nothing, and you can't hurt them. A really good boxer can stand there, and you can throw, and you can be hitting him, but it doesn't hurt him. You're not hurting him. You're not hitting him in a way that's affecting him.
You're trying to score points.
Even then, it's like if it's not an amateur, we're talking about a pro boxing fight. They don't count it like that. Just because you touched me does not mean you did anything.
Right.
Even in amateur boxing, you have to hit they have points where you hit. If you hit my arms, they don't count that.
Right.
But even for the sport, amateur or pro, the amount of conditioning you have to just be able to hang with the volume, it is insane. People talk about like wrestling, the conditioning wrestling. Some of the high level boxing matches for how many punches, dude. Your shoulders and heart rate, what you between your feet got to be behind it too. Your hands are moving, your feet got to.
I challenge anybody to go throw.
It's tough, man.
Throw 2 minutes straight.
I think if
stand up to a bag and just go 2 minutes straight. Don't even go 50%. And it's your arms. You can't hold them up.
If you wrestle with someone for 2 or 3 minutes, I mean, you're gassed.
But then you're in that state. You've been in that state. Punch the bag 2 minutes, right? Boxing match is 3 minutes long, but now you got to deal with somebody hitting you back,
right?
And there's pain involved, and you're tired, and you can't throw because you're
tired.
It's not that I'm tired. This is exercise, but now you're being hit and you're tired. The game is fierce, man. I love boxing. I love wrestling because you're in the pocket. Both of those I have as far as trained. It is a put up or shut up. There is no way to lie. There is no way to hide. It is the most fiercest. It is tough, man. And like wrestling, man, wrestle for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Man, you will be spent. But the conditioning, take a wrestler and ask him to go throw 200 punches. Go ask a boxer to throw
it's like you said, the task at hand is a little
whatever.
different.
You have to train yourself.
Like I could probably move a car better, but if it came to fighting some dude in the mall, I'd rather have Chris do it.
Oh yeah, bro, and I'll film it off to the side and edit it for y'all. I'm good at that shit.
But if Chris needed his car pushed to move,
but truth is, I can't be putting my hands on people at the mall. So
Oh,
I need you to do it, man.
Yeah, we got your back.
To do it, man.
You distract him. I'm coming in. Just hit him with a quick stick.
I'm just gonna try to throw him into a car.
As long as I don't have to put my hands on him, we're good, man.
Well, and that's what I love about it is y'all walk around just very relaxed. It's such a nice like.
Well, it's just humbling.
Nice.
My
first
being
fight
in those
I went
situations
to,
and being a wrestler or a boxer, doing any type of those combat sports, even football, not quite the same, but I think doing those solitary sports like where it's you against one other person.
Play golf.
Some of the most humbling things.
Let that shit stretch your mind.
Well, I think we started talking about earlier, about fighting and how people, everybody can do it. I think fighting's popular because it's one of those things everybody can relate to it. People who don't like fighting are also the same people who like when they get verbally attacked, break. Like you ever meet somebody and they get a couple of harsh words to them, and all of a sudden they've emotionally lost it.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like people who are like that have a hard time watching fighting because of what it emotionally does. But the one thing about fighting, everybody understands what a fight is. We all know what a fight is.
It's in our nature.
And in some cases, it doesn't have to be super physical because the emotional stress that you can put on you've been put through because somebody tore you apart, like that's a fight. That's not different. Like that's combat. It's verbal. But that's warfare right there. And so I think part of that's part of it, man. I think that everybody likes fighting because it is relatable. Everybody can kind of feel.
You ever have issues with that because people know you're a fighter?
As far as what, I mean?
Fucking with you?
You know what, man? I kind of feel like I look intimidating for some reason.
Well, no, just because like if you know how you're the big guy at the bar, people want to fight you.
But I'm not the big.
But if they know you're not the big guy, but somebody knows that you're the guy that knocked that guy out.
I think I'm a lose because I'm not big. Because I'm not big, who wants to get their ass whooped by some little guy?
That's true.
But that's the point though. Is like, there's guys that want to tell people I beat up a UFC fighter.
But nobody wants to get beat up.
Fuck no.
Nobody wants to be embarrassed.
But you also, right, for being a fighter, you gotta want to be able to take that punch to the face. So you gotta expect it, and you almost gotta want it a little bit because you know it's coming. So the second, if you don't want it and you get tagged with it, that's a weird situation.
Here's the thing about tough guys, right? You're only as tough, right, as whatever you're in front of, right? If what is in front of you, right, is bigger, badder. Most people, and this is like really like this isn't even like fighters, right? Like 99% of the population is going the other way. Nobody looks at a tsunami and goes, "Yeah, man, I think I can ride that. I think I can do this, man.
I'm gonna ride that bitch." Yeah.
Nobody's doing that, right? Everybody knows. Like if you're standing in front of a tsunami, you're there to drown.
Yeah,
and you know it.
Yep.
So unless you're somebody who's like, I'm self-destructive. I'm here to. My attitude is to throw my life away, right? You're not fighting. People avoid pain that's not even physical, like emotional. I'm gonna lie to you because I don't want to deal with the shame of being honest. Yep. Like if I can't even do that, how am I gonna sit here in front of somebody and take an ass? People are afraid of confrontation to this extent that a guy like me can threaten somebody physically, right? And have no real intention to do it, but I can stare somebody or look at somebody and people go the other way because most people who have half a brain do not want to be hurt. They do not want that smoke. They don't want to have their feelings hurt. I mean, really, like most people don't even have their feelings hurt, let alone have.
Oh, we're in a sensitive time now. We were talking about that earlier too. It's a very sensitive time.
So some of that stuff, people are like, well, do you get tough guys? No, man, because anybody who's first of all, if a guy has enough sense, who can look at me, doesn't want to have anything to do with him, and even if he's like, I could probably take that guy, but he don't want those problems. He doesn't want to have to work that hard.
Probably is a hard bet.
Like I don't want to work that hard just to what? You know what I mean?
Right, to go tell somebody you did it. Which half the time now you tell somebody that you just look like an asshole. Like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, you want to fight?
Oh,
you're fucking
stand
bragging
around
about
and
your
talk to
fight?
your friends about your fights.
Cool, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like it's
At least your fights are documented.
well, unless
You can
you're
watch them.
unless you're a
well, yeah,
child.
you can brag about yours. Like, oh man, like, that's the other thing. You don't even have to. That's why I liked your fights. Like when I watched your fights, first thing I did was go through your stuff because I obviously didn't want you to just come in here and me look like an asshole trying to talk to you over here about something I'm interested in. So, which fighting I've always been super interested in. But so when I watched your stuff and I was like, he's a lot different than how a lot of people, because you stand in there and you want to bang, which to me means you're ready for it. Like you already are ready to take that punch if it's got to come, and you're past it before it even gets thrown. Because that's a lot of guys get hit and they react to the hit, even if it's just natural. Like if someone flashes in front of your face, you're going to flinch. So when they get hit, they're going to do something which mentally, if you're fighting, you're prepared for that. I'm going to do something, he's going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And when you don't react to it, dude, like we were just watching it, but I made Randy shut that shit off before he comes in here and sees we're like gawking at his fights. But that fight, I'm watching it and I'm like, dude, he just hit him with like, and like you said, they didn't hit hard, but I watched it. Like, didn't hurt you, that's cool. But if I take those 4, me, and we're close to the same size, you got me by a couple pounds, but I know that's moving my jaw. I know that's moving my head. Your shit didn't move. You stayed still and you kept the press on what you were doing. There's got to be part of you that's like, okay, I'm going to get hit. That's fine. We're cool. Like, I'm going to try to miss it, but I'm going to get hit.
You play with fire, you're gonna get burned a little
Right.
bit.
Right.
But I absolutely 100% believe that if I can see and I have my hands up, you can't hurt me. You could touch me. Anybody can get a lucky shot. But like we're fighters, right?
I think
like
that's. I think to be a fighter, that's how you have to.
like
think.
you gotta,
absolutely.
you got to be tough enough, to take a hit, right? When you didn't get into this, like you didn't go play physical sports. 'Cause, I mean, everyone, like physicals, where you got to take a hit. Fighting's no different. You're expected to take a hit.
Yep.
But like I'm not getting hit hard or getting hit so bad. And I keep my hands up. I can see. Even when I get touched, it's not like I didn't see it. Like I trained myself.
I'm just shocked on how you don't move very much when they hit you. That's the part. That's a lot of it was the other reason why I wanted to meet you, because I was like, you must have like that fucking neck guy that was all over the internet or something. Like his neck must be huge, bro.
My face isn't all beat up.
No. And that's what I was gonna ask you. Are you Italian?
No.
What are you?
Chilean.
Yeah, my mom's from Chile.
Okay.
My dad's German English.
All right, because I was just, you kind of got an Italian vibe going over here, man.
By the way, you and your mom and your sister all are like uncanny. If you stand next to each other, you're like, they're all family. They're all related.
Well, so my two sisters that are out there, they're not related. So it's weird when you see us 3 stand together. They look like they're sisters, and they are not related at all. I'm the only relation between the 2 of them, and we don't. We look a little bit alike. You can kind of see it, but like we don't. I'm like this little skinny prick, and we don't look the same. It's just funny. But yeah, the family thing is crazy. I was curious. I did read what it was, but I totally forgot. But I don't know. It might be your hair. You got freaking longer hair. So
I got looks, man.
You got the looks.
I had it like down to here at one point, man. And
well, you had the braids. Plus,
I had a beard.
You talked to George yet and tell him like you're gonna charge him for the braid look, like he's trying to steal your thunder.
No.
I saw that. I was like, damn, this dude looks just like what is it?
I was the Jesus of the knees. Yeah,
So I was thinking about that earlier with the knee injury. I'm like, man, what did that set you up when they're calling you Jesus with the kneesus? Now you had to get some knee surgery.
Yeah,
that shit was funny as hell.
What'd you think of that fight?
The George fight?
Yeah.
Oh man, he went out there and killed it, man.
Did you expect that?
Kind of.
How do you feel about the next fight here? I know I was texting you the other day about it yesterday we were talking about the fights. A couple good matchups I thought coming up. I want to see Masvidal and Leon Edwards. I think that's a good matchup. Leon Edwards is on like a 7-fight win streak right now.
If you want to do a viewing party,
Leon Edwards is the one who, he tagged up behind backstage when he was doing his interview and stuff. Went and punched him in the eye, cut him open. And then Leon Edwards just won his fight against Rafael Dos Anjos. I mean, that's a big fight. He won. He's on a win streak right now. I think that's a perfect setup. And I know that Masvidal's looking for the money grab, and he wants, Connor, Khabib.
He better take it right
fucking
now because the
Okakui.
sport is vicious.
Well, Connor can't fight at 170s. That fight they had at 170s for Nate.
That was for Nate, yeah.
That was a weird fight, man.
And
Yeah.
the fight before that was like 165, like a catch weight, wasn't it?
No, it was still 170s.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Still 170s.
What do you think of the Diaz brothers?
I think they're really intelligent as far as how they train and how they choose to approach the fight. I think they kind of got a little overboard with
The being gangster thing.
No, the endurance sports.
The triathlons and shit.
I think that's not conducive. I mean, again, like however long you want to fight, you need to be in shape for it. But like the max is 25 minutes. Their endurance runs are like 3 hours long. There's a little. Like I would trade. Let's trade off 2.5 hours of endurance and let's put a little more explosive, a little more
Yeah, it's a
power.
lot
Part of you
different when
feels
you're
with
at
them
field.
that they don't care. Not like they don't care, but like I'm not here to conform to anybody. Like those dudes are just like we're living our life this way. I'll get in the ring and fight you at any point or not.
So what do you think about Nate?
That's why I'm
the
curious.
Pettis fight right now, because like what you're saying,
Well, I think
agree.
that he saw that he
That's-
wasn't going to get the rematch.
That's
I
always
think
been
they
the
were
persona.
expecting a third, which made total sense, right? I mean, because I still don't think that Connor really like outright won that match. Like I don't think he won that second fight as much as he probably won it. I'll give it to him because they're going to let him. Like it is what it is.
But it wasn't an undeniable finish. Like
No,
how
you got to
Nate
have the
choked him
third
out.
fight. You got to have the third fight.
I think Connor's in a tough spot because
Yeah, it's a weird spot.
he's his criticism coming up was that he was not really challenged, not really tested, not really. But he had all this noise for some reason, man. And people couldn't figure out why. And everybody, he's so charismatic. He's this, he's that. By the way, a lot of iconic former professionals or current professionals, Tyson Fury, Muhammad Ali, like stealing a lot of their iconic stuff. So he's
Tyson
not.
Fury.
It's
he is
smart,
not,
though.
He's not an original person.
He's not original, but he's
So,
smart. I'll
what-
give him
what-
that because that's a smart move to take it.
Everybody's gonna say he's smart because of how much money he's supposed.
I'm just saying, you got the Irish people behind you, and that's a lot of people that in this sport.
It's fortunate, like he has a country that backs him.
They're a fighting country.
But,
That's true.
But
They still fight outside of their fucking houses.
He's in a tough spot because in some ways, if like, who do you want to fight? Who do you want to fight next? Right? Do you want to fight somebody that's gonna bring in a big paycheck? But like, who are you gonna lose to? Who are you willing to lose to? Who do you think you can beat? Because you fight somebody, like I always think this. He ain't really fought many people in the UFC. There's plenty of 55ers that he hasn't fought. There was plenty of 45ers he hasn't really fought.
You could fight him.
I could fight him. He could, but you get what my point is that there's a lot of people.
I would like to see that fight.
He doesn't have. Well,
I would like to see it because that's the only way he's taking you out is knocking you out. Because he ain't gonna get you on the ground. I don't think he's got the advantage on you. I don't because I've watched you on the ground. You're not swinging for submissions, but you're just
Connor doesn't
your
submit.
power presence on the ground. I think shocks some people because I don't think they expect it when they get you, especially when you pull guard on them. Like I don't think they're ready for that shit.
no.
I don't. And I think that if he tries to stand up with you, he has to knock you out. And that's kind of, for me, I feel like that's the one thing I wanted to ask you. I didn't want to piss you off about it, but who do you think's got that power that you'd be more nervous to stand in there and take that shot? There's a couple guys in that weight class that I wouldn't want to take that fucking shot.
Like again, I think there's plenty of guys. Like I think I fought some guys who have power. Like I keep my hands up, man. I'm not worried about your power because
Right.
if you can't hit me, then I'm not worried about it. And again, you can touch me, but you just can't land that solid punch. That's all I have to avoid. I think that's far easier to do than like
You keep yourself balanced.
you just gotta, you can grab somebody, you can hold them, you can do all the traditional boxing stuff. You can slip, roll, weave, catch, but like there's other stuff you can do, man. Like Aikido does a whole lot of blending. Like people people call it different stuff. People say that stuff doesn't work, but I blend in from punches into my clinch, into my wrestling, into my stuff. Like to me, that's the traditional part. That's what people don't understand what it's called because it doesn't look like what other people see. This is supposed to be Aikido.
I've been kind
or
of
it's
sitting
supposed
here
to be-
waiting and watching to see if Gritz was going to start doing, because he'll start sometimes when you stand there talking, he'll start putting his hands up and doing his traditional shit, and I was like, I haven't seen him start doing that yet. But it is, like he said, it's something that he trains a lot of people don't train.
I do spend a lot of time doing katas and doing farms and playing with, like weapon types training. I'm not sitting there thinking this is how I'm going to do combat, but I practice the movements, man. I'll pick up a bow, or, I got a bow staff or a Joe, or I got some chucks that I play with, but it's working your hands, being coordinated enough to do two things at once. Like, people think they're doing this scientific neuro testing, like the people are doing training that supplements this. Like, people do dot drills. This is supposed to help you good for football. Okay, maybe it could help you get for football, but there's people out there who never got any better at football. Their numbers in football didn't go up, but the numbers in the performance for their athletic training went up,
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at some of the martial arts training. Is it going to go 100% to MMA? No. But it can help me build something to help then build something.
It's helping refine your craft in one way or another.
Well, dude, it sounds like you got I like your game plan. I like how level-headed you are. That was the big thing, is you never know what you're going to get with somebody that knows they can go in and fucking bang like that. There's a lot of people that just kind of get cocky with it, and from what he told me, I knew you weren't going to be like that, but I was curious, just to see. And dude, you got a great personality.
Thanks,
I can't say thank you enough for coming out. I really do. I really appreciate it, because as much as you're honing your craft, I've been banging my head off a wall in this room for so many hours trying to figure out better ways to do this. And every single time I do it, I change something and I try to learn from something. And, as much as you think I like to hear myself talk, which everybody thinks that, I got to listen to this 2-3 times. It's an hour and a half, and I hear myself, and it's, I'm like my biggest critic. I beat myself up over things that I say. And so seeing somebody that hones their craft the way you do, I really can take a lot from that. I really appreciate it. And it was fun for me to be able to do some research on somebody that I might not have ever done any research on. So I hope that I know a lot of my people will be checking you out and checking your page, and you'll probably see some views on those videos if you go up on YouTube, because now everybody's got to see who the hell I'm talking about. So, and again, like, there was a few people that I talked about, and they didn't quite knew who it was, but as soon as I told them about the Ultimate Fighter and that scene, they're like, oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. So, dude, you got some iconic moments already out there, and I think, like you said, things fall into place for you. You got a great attitude. You got great energy, and you're not a negative person, which you've had some diversity or adversity, not diversity. Probably diversity. You went up to Oregon or Seattle, so you got some diversity thrown at you too. But that adversity, man, you handled it very well, and I'm excited to see your next fight. We're gonna throw a fucking huge party in this house and watch your fight on every TV that we can watch it on in here. So I'm gonna be rooting for you, Dakota. Thank you very much for having him come through, because dude, this is probably gonna be our best podcast. Oh, I did. I'll thank him again. So let's go out and eat some chicken wings. You got any plugs you want to plug, man? You got?
Follow me at Soda Pop Fuzz on Instagram. I don't really do much on Twitter, but you can, if you want to tweet me or something, and that's about it, man.
It's at Soda Pop Fuzz.
I like that. At Soda Pop Fuzz on Instagram. I'm gonna put all the handles up when I edit the video and everything. And dude, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Bernie Dyke podcast out. Another great weekend. Thank you, guys. Yeah.